Hello everybody and welcome to this very exciting SUPboarder review of a brand new design to the inflatable SUP market for 2021, Starboard's The Wall. And we will be comparing it with the touring model from Starboard as well in the small size or the 28-inch width. Now, the reason this review is a little different without the boards in shot is that we have a new studio being built at the moment and I'm on call for a new addition to the family, so we're a little bit hickety-pickety at the moment, but fear not. The team and I have been out on this board testing it the last couple of weeks, so let's get into bringing you this review of Starboard's The Wall and their Touring S inflatable paddleboard. We'll be kicking it off with the dimensions of the board and the specifications, speaking about Starboard the brand, whilst also unpacking the boards and showing you the inflation process. We'll then be looking at the fittings on each of the models from Starboard and the accessories you get, and then we move into how these boards feel on the water and provide you with our feedback and thoughts on the wall versus the touring model. Of course, as always, we give you the pros, cons, value for money before wrapping it up with who this board is going to suit. Looking at the specifications of Starboard's The Wall, it's 12 feet 6 inches long at 28 inches wide, comes in at 4.75 inches thick plus 2 inches for the wall, which equals a total volume of 269 litres. The wall weighs in at 12 kilograms or 26.5 pounds and comes with a center US fin box slot and retails from £1,319, $1,499 or €1,499. There are other sizes in the wall as well, with a 14 feet by 28 inch width and a 14 feet by 30 inch version available. This board is a deluxe double chamber construction which uses a fusion woven drop stitch together with heat welded rails and compression bands to increase the strength and longevity. The double chamber tech is used in the 2-inch wall, however this is a first of its kind. Taking a look at the specifications of the Touring size S, 12 feet 6 inches long, 28 inches wide as well, but this one is 6 inches thick and equals a total of 318 litres. The board weighs 9.68 kilograms or 21.34 pounds, comes with a US center fin box slot and retails for £869, $999 or €1,069. These touring sizes range from 11.6 by 29 up to 14 feet by 32 inches. This board is the deluxe single chamber construction which uses a fusion woven drop stitch together with heat welded rails to increase strength and longevity. So a little bit about Starboard. Starboard are one of the market leaders in the SUP industry with a wide range of equipment from these inflatable boards to hardboards, foils, wings, windsurfing, apparel and a ton more. Starboard was started in 1994 by Sven Rasmussen and they have an emphasis on sustainable processes and are driving their business toward ethical practices both in their labour, workplace and also in the environmental realm. With every board sold, they plant a mangrove in the Thor Heyerdahl Climate Park, and they also have a plastic offset program. The company are B Corp certified, they run cleanups, they're aiming to create a circular economy and have the recycling of boards into the future. And this is all shown in their environmental packaging too. So this board and both of these boards came wrapped in paper, as did the accessories, and we love seeing this come through SUPboarder because just makes our job so much easier when we need to dispose of all this waste. So just based on the environmental and company standards, Starboard really are leading the pack. Looking at the bag you get with the package, it's a good quality bag and the zips are YKK non-corrosive zips. The best thing about this bag is that it's made from upcycled plastic bottles. A number of bottles are used to make the fabric of this bag and the weaving process is what gives the bag its durability and strength. Although it doesn't have any back padding, the straps are well padded and comfortable. You can tuck the straps away too if traveling or not using them. A handle on one side and on the top is also really nice and it comes with built-in wheels for easy transport. The bag also opens fully like a suitcase. This makes it super easy to get the board in and out of. Taking a look inside the bag and we see there are instructions and tips printed on the bag to show you how to inflate and paddle correctly on the water. There's also some pockets on the inside and a tie-down strap for the board. Taking a look at the pump, it is Starboard's Tiki pump, which only comes with the deluxe construction models. It has a removable base for easy storage. It's a double action pump, so it inflates both on the upstroke and on the downstroke, And when the pumping gets tough, you can then switch it over to the single action, which only inflates on the downstroke. The base and handles are produced with upcycled fishing nets, and the fin you get with it is the Dolphin 22, which is Starboard's touring fin. A plastic fin with a narrow base and wide area gives you a really good stability from that wash from side to side. Also, the angle on the fin detracts from weed getting caught on it. Again, it's made from upcycled fishing nets, so you can see there's a bit of a theme happening here. These fins come in different shapes with different boards in Starboard's range. You also get the screw-in attachment, which makes it really easy to fit in the board. Looking at the leash, you get a lightweight straight leash with the touring boards and the wall. This leash only weighs 70 grams, so you don't even feel it when wearing the leash. They do come in different sizes for the boards too. A star mount is included in the box packaging alongside the fin. So getting into the inflation process with these boards, and they are both a single chamber for the outline shape of the board, with the Touring S taking slightly longer to inflate as it has just that little bit more volume. We're showing the inflation process for the wall, as it's a little different for us and very exciting to show you what we are dealing with here. Being 4.75 inches thick, the inflation process is fairly quick, and using their tiki pump makes it easy. The PSI is recommended between 15 to 18, and we pumped it up to 17 PSI. The process took about 6 minutes, which is quite fast in our opinion. But now it's time to inflate the wall section, and with only a maximum of 10 PSI, I went hard out on pumping only to realize that the chamber is super small, so it only needed a few pumps to inflate to 9 PSI. Super easy. And now we have our wall. Taking a look at the fittings that are on the boards, let's go through from nose to tail to see the differences between the Touring S and the wall. Starting up at the nose, they both have their FCS inserts for accessories or a camera mount. The wall seems to have a handle just behind the insert at the front, whilst the Touring S is missing that, which seems a bit odd as the 30-inch wide deluxe double chamber boards in the Touring have this option. Moving back, we have the Bungee storage area. Now, of course, the wall's cargo area is inside the wall, which gives it protection from water coming in over the deck and gives you, the rider, a better sense of weight as it's closer to the water. You can probably get a few extra pieces of gear under the bungees on the Touring S model, as the wall hinders that ability to get more in there. Then we have our center carry handle. Both are very comfortable and balanced. The touring board comes with a paddle and shoulder strap on the side for ease of carrying, and the deck pads are different between the boards as well. We can notice the diamond pattern covering most of the Touring S model, whilst the wall has a 3-stage or 3 different tractions with a diamond traction under your feet, a smooth crocodile grip pad behind your feet, and then a tail diamond pad at the back. Moving back from that, we have a rear bungee area on the Touring S, whereas the wall does not have this option. Then moving back again, we have a handle, but the wall does not have a rear handle. Remember, it does have the front handle, but the Touring S does have a handle at the rear. Then we have our usual valve point at the tail and the leash of the D-ring point. On the bottom of the boards, the fin boxes are the same with the same fin, and we have the rail edge tech that Starboard are known for on the inflatable range, which releases water from the tail. We do notice a difference in the constructions on the bottom of the boards, with the wall having the extra layers to help with stiffness. Speaking about the stiffness, let's move on to the deflection test on both of these boards before getting them on the water to fully test them. Our deflection test measures the board's stiffness and rigidity, which is a sign of added performance on the water. We place all of our boards on a gap between 1.5 meters and put a weight in the middle of 75 kilograms to see how much the board bends or deflects. Both the Starboard wall and the Touring deflected 11 millimeters. It's quite stiff considering we have ice-ups that range between 9 and 27 millimeters in this test. We need to note as well that the wall is only 4.75 inches thick, with that 2 inches thick of the wall bit. But the Touring S model is 6 inches thick, and generally 6-inch thick boards are a lot stiffer with their construction, and it's just really good to see that the wall has that stiffness. Okay, now for the fun stuff, getting these boards on the water and providing you with our feedback. So walking these boards to the water's edge, and they both felt balanced and centered, which is a nice touch. The Touring S feels like a really lightweight board underarm, which is always nice when carrying, and the shoulder strap is very handy too. The wall wasn't as comfortable to carry though, especially over a long distance, as your arm rests on the actual wall of the board, which means you're reaching over and in to hold the handle. This isn't an issue if you're close to the water, but if you are carrying it further afield, it is a point to note that your forearm might get a little sore. We first jumped on the Touring S model to get a feel for the more traditional style of paddleboard so we can compare the wall to it later. Firstly, we like the rear handle, which makes launching easy. Once on the board, you can really notice how high you are off the water. At 28 inches wide, it is on the narrow side of touring boards, and this is the Model S, so specifically aimed at lighter riders. This created a feeling of being slightly unstable for me. I weigh in at about 85 kilograms, so I'm definitely pushing the limit of rider weight for this board, which is at 90 kilograms on Starboard's website. I guess reflecting back to the deflection test, we see that the boards are really stiff though. We also had Will on this board who weighs in at 70 kilograms or just under, and we will get his thoughts very soon on the stability when comparing it to the wall. However, he saw much of the same. However, if you're looking to use this board on a more touring adventure, say overnight or multi-day, then you really would be carrying some gear which would weigh it down significantly and could even improve the stability. If the board is lower to the water, it's going to help with balance as we have a lower center of gravity. Yes, this is going to affect the speed of the board through the water. However, I found this board to be quite fast. I guess as a heavier rider on the 6-inch board, it helps that not too much of the board is sinking or slowing me down. Carrying some more gear, and I probably would have felt the board to be a little bit slower, but still, I found this board to be quite fast. Also, taking into consideration the 28 inches of width, which is on the small side of touring boards for me, makes this board faster. Less width, less surface area means the board will move faster through the water. All of these elements that we have mentioned actually combine to create the tracking of the board, or how well it paddles in a straight line. Now I'm going to introduce Will, who after a paddle on the board sums up tracking really nicely.
Yeah, so straight away you do feel a massive difference in stability, primary and secondary, and that on the 6-inch board you feel a lot more on top of the water at my weight, about 70 kilos, just under 70 kilos, which I think has a direct impact on the tracking of the board, because slightly sloppy paddle technique, you rock the board, it does turn quite a lot, which makes the tracking worse, or I suppose easier to have poor tracking.
So speaking about the maneuverability, even for me, stepping back on the tail and doing a step back turn felt a little wobbly. But we need to remember that I'm pushing the weight limit of this board, and to be honest, I would 100% go for the 12.6 by 30-inch wide version of the touring models. But for the lighter rider, if you're after something that is fast, it has the workings of a great adventure SUP, then this board would really suit you. So now let's change it up and get the wall out on the water to bring into comparison. So the wall is 4.75 inches thick in its skeleton, and there are major differences of a 4.75 or 5-inch thick compared to a 6-inch thick board. A 6-inch thick board will rise much further out of the water, which means when you are standing on a 6-inch board, you have a higher center of gravity, which doesn't help with stability. Now, we touched on it before, but you really want to be lower to the water. You want to be closer to the water for balance. If you're a heavier rider, say over that 80 kilogram mark, then a 6-inch thick board will benefit you more, because if you're on a 4.75 inch thick, you weigh the board down, which is going to affect the board's speed. So you want to be a little bit higher up, and you'll get that bit more speed from the 6-inch thick board. And this is exactly what I felt when I jumped on the wall. It felt a bit slower, a bit more sluggish than the Touring S. That's only down to myself weighing that 85 kilograms and weighing that board down in the water. Will, on the other hand, remember he weighs about 70 kilograms. He didn't see a big enough difference in the boards to comment which would be faster or slower. In this case, I'd really like to try out the 14 foot by 28 wall with a bit more volume, just to see how it would perform for the heavier rider, or even that 30-inch version, and would suggest that if you are weighing over 80 kilograms, to look more at those longer wall models. So in saying that it felt slower for the heavier paddlers and faster for the lighter paddlers, how does that wall design actually affect other areas of paddling? Well, immediately I noticed that the wall was so much more stable than the touring board. And that goes back to that 4.75 inch thickness being closer to the water. You're down lower, Feels like you're in a dugout board, and the stability was impressive. I could really walk around, do step back turns with ease, which is strange to think that these boards, the Touring S and the Wall, same length, same width, but feel so different on the water. Because you are lower to the water, the board tends to sink a little more, which makes the water wrap around the rail slightly. This creates a bit of a suction or a stabilizer as well, which aids in that stability. But even more noticeably, it improves the tracking of this board. If we remember what Will said about the tracking of the Touring S, he feels if your technique is slightly off, the stability will affect where the board goes as you're rocking from side to side, which is going to end up turning the board. The Wall doesn't do that. I could paddle on the same side for ages without the board turning off in the other direction. It also has that secondary stability from the Wall, which makes paddling in slightly choppier water easier too. Whereas we are high above the water on the Touring S and we can feel every bump, the Wall sits in the water nicely and the actual Wall acts as that second stabilizer. It also helps to keep any water that flows over the deck out of the cargo area and the standing area too, which is really nice. We are impressed with Starboard's innovation and the initiative to make changes in the inflatable touring space to enhance our paddling. However, we do think there are still some teething problems with the Wall, as there is to any new product on the market. So here's what we noticed and thought about. As a heavier rider and someone who likes their feet in a certain place, yes, I'm a little bit fussy, the actual 2-inch Wall makes it hard to have a wide stance. Your pinky toes are butted up against the Wall, and generally I'd like this on a dugout board as you can get more stability from it by leaning against it, but it felt uncomfortable to have your toes almost underneath the lip of that Wall. As a lighter rider or someone who can manage a narrower stance, it wouldn't be an issue, and you would definitely reap the benefits that we have spoken about. Secondly, if you do get water in the Wall's deck area of the board, it doesn't come out. It's not likely you're going to get bucket loads of water in there, but a quick test shows that the water does not drain away, even when paddling at speed. This just leaves us with wet, cold, soggy feet or sandwiches if you're storing your lunch up there. Something to note on the Wall would be the amount of work that has gone into producing the Wall. There are lots of seams, there's lots of joins in this design, and they all seem really sturdy and fine, but it does mean that there could be an extra warranty issue or repair issues further down the line if anything does fail. Another point to note would be the valve position on the Wall. It's different from the Starboard website, which shows that they have been experimenting with research and design and their development and positions and what's going to work best. But knowing Starboard, they wouldn't put a product out that they don't believe in. So it's really good to see that they are thinking about their designs. And lastly, the type of paddlers looking at this board would be fairly experienced with not too many of you falling in, but the Wall around the edge could make it hard to get back up on the board if you do take a dive. These issues aside, it's a great step toward innovation and moving the market in a better direction when it comes to inflatable touring boards. So we do applaud Starboard for this. Getting these boards off the water and deflating them was a pretty easy process. The bags opened up fully to fit the board in, and the pump base comes apart to fit the pump in as well. The packages don't come with a paddle, but you can add this on to your package when buying it. Remember, there's no padding on the back of the bag, so maneuvering this board around in the bag to get the right fit might be needed to feel really comfortable on your back. Starboard has a manufacturer's warranty on the inflatable boards for 2 years. So let's take a look at the pros, cons, value for money for each of these boards, starting with the Touring S. Now the pros, I like the speed this board carries through the water. You can really feel the glide and how fast this board is. The multiple bungee areas are a great addition too, so you can carry tons of gear on your adventure paddle. The 6-inch thickness is a good play by Starboard for this smaller style of touring board because it does allow you to carry loads of gear as a lighter rider. Of course, the accessories you get and the fittings on the board are all top quality, and a major pro of just Starboard in general is their commitment to the people and planet. The pros of the Wall stack up very well too. Now we like the innovation that Starboard are bringing to the inflatable scene. That Wall acts as a secondary stability, keeps your gear dry, and the 4.75-inch thickness means you have that lower center of gravity and more stability. But moving into the cons of each of these boards, the Touring S lacks stability when compared to the Wall. This is down to that 6-inch thickness, but if you are adventure paddling with kit, you wouldn't notice it as a lighter rider. Some of the other touring Ranger boards have a front handle, and I can't see why they wouldn't have it on this model too. It would make a good addition, especially with the 2 bungee areas to pull that board along with any gear. Looking at the cons of the wall, if you do stand with a wide stance, you're not going to feel as comfortable paddling this board as your feet are hitting the sides. The water doesn't drain out of the deck area either if you do get water in there, so do keep this in mind. When carrying the wall, it does start to burn your forearm as you need to reach around to grab that carry handle. It's not a big deal if you're carrying a short distance though. There's a few changes we'd like to see and updates for the next generation of walls, but we commend the new thinking by Starboard. The value for money on both of these boards reflects most of our thoughts for sure. You definitely need to choose the right board to suit you, and then you'll definitely get the most for your money. And we'll touch on this soon. But the construction of these boards, the accessories, the environmental commitment, you are paying good money for a great product and a good company as well. So leading into who these boards are going to suit, well, the Touring S is aimed at those lighter riders under 80 kilograms who want a faster and nimble touring board. You have the option to store loads of gear, but this board could even be used as a flat water fast touring or paddling board. It's quite versatile as your everyday board and adventure board, but it's definitely more suited to the intermediate or advanced rider as you need to be on it with your balance. So if you are that more beginner or way over 80 kilograms, have a look at the other touring board sizes in the range to find one that will work for you. Now the wall, it's going to suit the same type of rider, that intermediate to advanced level of ability, weighing under 80 kilograms who wants a fast and stable everyday or short distance touring board. Heavier riders should also look toward the larger sizes in the 14 feet length. It's not going to be your full-on adventure board, but we must take our hats off to Starboard for their initiative in this touring space. We hope you enjoyed watching this comparison and review of the new Starboard, the Wall, and their Touring S model. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments below. We thank you very much for tuning in. We look forward to seeing you on another SUPboarder review really soon.